You're listening to Answering the Call, the official podcast of the 12th Man Foundation. Our show provides listeners with an insider perspective of Texas A&M athletics and its greatest supporters. This podcast will bring you exclusive interviews with coaches, athletes, donors, and the dedicated staff of Aggie Athletics and the 12th Man Foundation. You ready? Let's dive into today's episode. Howdy, and welcome back to another episode of Answering the Call podcast, the official podcast of the 12th Man Foundation. I'm your host, Ivy Robinson, and sitting in studio today with me right now is Texas A&M Softball student athlete, Grace Sparks. Grace, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
Just to begin, Grace, can you tell us a unique fact about yourself and something that maybe not a lot of people know?
Outside of sports, I love to read. I'm kind of like not a book nerd at all. Like classroom, I'll get what's done, but I love like any fictional book.
Okay, do you have a series that you're just loving right now?
Okay, the Imprian series, and I'm reading Onyx Storm right now, if anyone knows what that is.
I've heard lots of things about this book and this series. I personally have not read them, but I have coworkers who big fans of it.
Yeah, I love it. I can't put it down.
What other books have you enjoyed? Do you have some favorites?
Oh, gosh. I don't know. I just stream more towards romance. Anything that's like on Book Talk, I'm easy to convince. So I kind of just go to the store, and it's probably bad for my bank account, but I can't walk out without a book. So,
Grace, can you tell our listeners where you're from, what high school you went to, and maybe a favorite memory from your childhood or upbringing?
I grew up in Crosby, Texas. I live right now in Dayton, Texas, but I went to Crosby High School. Pretty much grew up in Crosby, love the fan base, love the community, love my friends back home. I think one memory that I could just think of, probably just going down to the trashiest of trashy fields in Crosby and just kind of throwing with my dad, and having that memory shared between both of us has kind of always been special to me. It's great to think about those times and realize how far I've come and what could be in the future. So it's nice to remember those moments and kind of like get emotional about it a little bit. So it's amazing.
Did your dad or any other family member inspire you to start playing sports?
So my mom was actually a barrel racer. So she kind of did the rodeo routes, and that's where I started. But I obviously took a different path. My younger sister is also into rodeos. She started barrel racing, and she loves that. So she didn't really want to grow up playing softball like her big sister, but it's okay. Brother played football here and there, track, like in high school. He didn't do much after. But no, I'm the first in my family to go to college for sports. Well, for academics and sports, but
how cool. So first generation Aggie.
Yes.
Very neat. Okay, that's so interesting. So you did a little barrel racing when you were younger, but at what point did you decide that you wanted to focus on softball?
Probably whenever it became to where I had to cancel out like going to the arena and riding to go into like more pitching lessons. So around when I was 10, I made like a serious decision on this is what I want to focus on. I did other sports in high school, like volleyball, track, and I was very average at those. But I'm glad I found something I was great at. So I kind of carried along with it, and I loved it. So
at what point in your lifetime did you decide I want to pursue softball on a collegiate level?
It was kind of like just watching. I had a lot of older friends growing up, and watching them be so like dedicated and going to camps, and I was like, wow, they're really serious about this. Maybe I should look into it. It was all just fun at first, but I've been playing since I was 4, so almost 18 years now. And you kind of don't think of it as softball is like what we do here. Like, this is like my life. Like, this is part of me. So kind of just having that like fun and freeing mentality about it is so different than looking at like the business side of it and getting serious about it. And it took a while for me, but whenever I was like 15, 14, which is probably late to be thinking about college at that point for at least athletes, it kind of just triggered something in me. And I was like, wow, like I could do this all the way up until I graduate. Like, that's kind of crazy. So I worked even harder. I started going to camps, and I was like, what am I going to do if I don't make it to that point? It's pretty scary, and it's a vulnerable place to be, but there's so many people out there that are working just as hard as you and hoping you could make a difference and try to be different. But I don't know, it just one day you just have to wake up and say like, I'm going to do all I can and trust that God has me and puts me on the right path. And one day you might just make it there with all the work and determination and the want. You still want to play the sport. So that should never leave. And it's an important part of the journey.
Speaking of journey, tell us about your journey to Texas A&M specifically and what the recruitment process was like for you.
I'm not going to lie. I grew up an A&M fan. I was diehard. I was like, I'm going to Texas A&M. My immediate family never went. My cousins, they went. But I grew up and I was like going to A&M games back when it was at the old field, watching like Samantha Shaw or Trinity Hennigan and Riley Sarton. Like, they were my idols. So it's crazy to think that, yeah, I ventured off. I went to Ole Miss for 2 years, and I loved it. Loved the program, loved the girls there, loved the school. I just felt like I wanted to come closer to home, but I wanted to feel that energy that A&M had. Every time someone mentioned it or when we played here in the spring, completely different from anything I've ever been in. And just the culture that A&M brings is unlike any other school I've ever been to. Even just playing there and beating their teams or losing their teams. So it's crazy to think, and you can't even compare it. A&M is uncomparable to any school. It's just easily the most alive college you've ever been to. So coming back is like a full 360 moment for me in my life, and I couldn't be more excited to where I am now.
That's incredible. Transferring from Ole Miss, what were the biggest adjustments for you coming into this program? And were there teammates or did Coach Ford or any other coaches, did they really help you to seamlessly come in and just be a part of the Aggie softball program?
So a lot of the girls on the team now are girls I grew up with playing or like playing against, so I knew of them. So whenever I got the call after I was in the transfer portal, I got the call from Coach Ford. She was like, I want you to be an Aggie. You know you want it. No one's stopping you. You would love it here. You love the girls. Like, I saw how you were after the game. Whenever we played each other in the spring, all the girls came up and gave you a hug after the game. And I was like, yeah, like, you can't beat that. So it was super easy making new relationships with the new girls and coming back to play with the old ones. It's kind of like heartfelt to see that we still have those connections, even from when we were little girls, like playing t-ball or coach pitch. So for us to give it all we got at like this level is just, it's crazy to think about, and we're so blessed to go through it again. It's an insane feeling coming from one place to another. I told myself before I committed to a college I was never going to transfer from that school. I had a problem with change. It wasn't really ever on my mind. And one day I was like, I got to come home. My parents never came to games at Ole Miss because of work or just the distance between us. So it felt like they never got to experience all the work and the money they put for me to watch me grow and be at this level. So I was like, I want to come home so they finally see all that support that they gave me throughout my life. So I want them to watch me as I finish out my last couple of years and make them proud. So I'd say this transition is the easiest it could have been because of them.
What have you loved most so far about being a student athlete now at Texas A&M, whether it's the resources we have here for the student athletes or just being on our campus, going to class? Like, what do you love most about being here now as an official Aggie student athlete?
I can't think of one off the top of my head. I can think of dozens. So it's hard to pinpoint certain things I love because everything is just so lovable. I would say, like, my favorite thing is just there is no culture like A&M. I know I've said this before, and other people have said it and will agree. The 12th man is so different. Everyone has everybody's backs. Women and men, like, both, like, support each other, and it's just a great environment to be in as an athlete, especially a student athlete. The school helps you in any way they can. We have people that come out to games that are like, I've never met before. And they're like, oh, I've seen you last year. I can't wait to see you on the mound again. I was like, you were rooting for me, even if I was on the opposite team. It's just amazing the support that comes from College Station, and it will never be the same anywhere else. They're hyping me up. I need them to talk to me before every game so I can get that energy pumping, but it's amazing.
You have such a unique perspective, right? Because you played against A&M for Ole Miss and saw the camaraderie of the 12th man, which you knew about it because you grew up coming to Texas A&M and watching some Aggie softball. But as a student athlete yourself, you were playing against Texas A&M and you saw from afar like the camaraderie of the team and what the program was like. When you were playing Texas A&M last season, what were the things that stood out to you in terms of Trisha Ford's program and just the fan base in general at Texas A&M?
They made it hard. They are some dogs on the field, and I really like that in a team, but they were nothing compared to Coach Ford and the staff. It's quite unlike anything else. I've never seen a coach like her. She's so unique in her own way, and other teams hate us, but we, like, that's how it should be. It's because we just have so much love that there's no room for any other team.
Mm-hmm.
And, we go out there and we're going out as ready for battle, and it's undescribable. I think that's what makes such a successful team.
Mm-hmm.
It's just having that fight and that grit and, the love and the bonding behind it. It's unbeatable. So teams, like, should be scared. And that's what went through my mind whenever we played here. And I was like, how can this team, like,
Mm-hmm.
lose at home? Home is completely different. Home is just insane. The environment is so hard. It's unlike anything else. And I'm excited to be part of it now. It's going to be amazing.
Now being on this side and being a part of Trisha Ford's program and being a part of Aggie Softball, what do you think are the key components and essentially the pillars to her coaching philosophy and the way she establishes her strong culture? Like you mentioned, you described it as just you have a lot of grit and tenacity and toughness. What do you think she has done to establish that in the culture?
As a coach, you really just think of them as getting you as a better athlete, coaching you to your peak performance and driving you to do your best. But Coach Ford, she knows we're more than athletes. She sees us like her babies. And she can be the scariest person on the team, but you know that she loves you more than anyone on that field. And that is, like, so easy for us to want to do good and want to practice hard. And we really change our mindset to, like, this isn't even our coach. This is, like, our mentor. And her biggest thing is she's building up people for the outside world. She's not building us up as athletes. She's building us up so we can be amazing after softball. She cares about us as people and not just athletes. And I think that's what some people are missing in their organizations. It's just you got to find that coach that wants the best for you and wants you to succeed, not just on the field, but off the field.
Yeah, I mean, I love what you said. They're building y'all up for the after, right? When softball comes to an end one day, she wants to invest in y'all, not only as an athlete, but as a person that will better y'all for future careers, for future families, wherever y'all go in this life. And I agree that makes an incredible coach. Grace, tell me what your perspective is of Davis Diamond and just the elite stadium that it is. How does it feel to be able to call that place home now? And just tell us, what are your favorite parts about the stadium?
Oh my gosh. Again, so many. I have never experienced a more beautiful stadium in my life. Like I said, I've seen the old stadium, so I know how how much of an improvement it was. It's beautiful. Like just playing under the lights and playing with your girls by your side is just a whole other feeling. I can't explain it, but it's what makes it so nice cuz it's like such a reward to get on that field and be able to play the sport you love so much because it holds the crowd and it has like the memories, it has the sounds sometimes, and it's amazing to see, but it's just insane. I just can't put into words. It's amazing.
Grace, what are you studying here at Texas A&M?
I'm studying business. So what I want to do, I want to do real estate after college. So I'm in the May School of Business right now.
That is awesome. Did anyone or what made you pick business, and then why do you want to go in real estate?
I think business is so broad and I have a good back degree if I need it. And I love the business aspect. I love like people, and I want to start my own business in real estate. So I want to start like my own firm and stuff. But real estate, I don't know. It's so weird. You're going to laugh at me when I say this, but growing up, I used to love going to open houses. Like when I was a kid, that would be my favorite thing to do for some reason. I love the smell of a new house. I love just opening the door. I don't know, running up the stairs. If it had a nice carpet, I would like, I don't know. I was a weird kid. But realizing I didn't know what I wanted to do for a while. And I was like, you know what? I want to do real estate one day. And I was like, why? It's kind of weird. You don't really wake up being like, oh, yeah, I want to do real estate. But I don't know, just helping people find their homes and like make memories in that home. It's a deep thing, but and I'm just making the most of it. But I don't know, starting a new life and creating memories for people and helping them on their own journey is like really personal to me, and I love it.
My parents are in real estate, and I've heard lots about how real estate is like a service
Mhm.
oriented career, right? And I agree with you totally. What you said is you're helping people in these transition moments of life.
Yeah.
It can be really exciting for people, also maybe terrifying, or they're
Yeah.
moving to a new town and it's a new chapter of their life. But yeah, definitely like have to be compassionate and
Mhm.
want to serve and help people in those areas. So good for you. Yeah.
Thank you.
How do you balance, Grace, the demands of being both a student and an athlete?
Well, first off, I have a amazing academic advisor, Carter. Chris also helped all the time. Love both of y'all. Shout out them. But it's so easy because you just have all these resources like thrown at you, and I'm like, whoa, like this is a lot. Like it just makes it so easy to where it's like something must be off, but it's just with all the resources, like I have like mentors, tutors, I get meals throughout the day. Like it shouldn't be that easy, but it's nice whenever you have weights in the morning and then you have like class and then you have a mentor and then you have another class, practice and bullpen. It gets hard sometimes, but with a routine, I thrive on routines. I have to have a routine. I have to have it planned out or I will lose my mind. So it just makes it easy. Plus, you have like these upperclassmen that will help you be like, hey, like this building is right next to mine. Like, do you want to lift or whatever? Like, yeah, sure. I mean, it's kind of cold outside. Don't really want to scooter in this weather at all. So I will take any lift whatsoever. But it's just easy. Like, everything is lined out for you. You got your classes. You got to talk to your professors. And the professors are really nice. But the resources are endless, and you can't really fall whenever you have so many people supporting you. So
I'm glad you brought up resources because it segues perfectly into the 12th Man Foundation and our donors and season ticket holders. Their contributions help provide resources exactly like what you were talking about, you know, the nutrition center and the facilities, the Adam Season Academic and Wellness Center at the Graham Athletic Complex, and being able to have access to great academic advisors who can help y'all balance the demands. And, you know, many of those supporters who give to benefit our athletic programs through the 12th Man Foundation are listening to this podcast today. And what would be your message to them, to those individuals who care so much about Texas A&M athletics, to provide the best of the best resources so y'all can be successful during your time here and beyond?
my gosh, a thank you would not suffice. Like I said, this school runs on support, and without them, there would be no Texas A&M. I think a lot of the times people don't realize A&M is built off the culture and the excellence and the community. So if the community is not as high, then Texas A&M is not as high, and they both complement each other. But we love you. We wouldn't be where we are without y'all. So I just want to say from me and from every athlete at this school that we could not do this without you, and we love 12th Man so much.
What does it mean for you to come to Texas A&M, to be able to capitalize even on your name, image, and likeness and have resources in that capacity, and also have a scholarship to get a great degree here while also playing the sport that you love?
I'm really the most blessed person when you put it like that, and I am. To do what I love every day is such a blessing that not a lot of people can do, and I hope to be that person that little girls look up to and say like, yeah, I can be that girl. I can get my degree and play the sport I love and still be happy doing it. And I think that's my reason why I do this sport with so much passion and so much love, because my biggest thing is seeing those little girls on game day. That is my number one feeling, and there's nothing compared to it. Definitely my reason why I do what I do, and I practice so hard just to be those little girls' motivation and be those little girls' idol. I would easily cry if a little girl came up to me and just hugged me on game day, and there's no feeling like it, especially just being at this school and showcasing the 12th man. It's just, you got to have that responsibility, and I want to be that responsibility for those little girls.
That's awesome. So you're passionate about being a good role model for the next generation of athletes.
Yes.
And I love it. It kind of goes back to, you know, your childhood memories of watching our former Aggie softball players coming to the games and how they were your idols. And now you're getting to be that very person for other little girls. And that's incredible. Going back to NIL really quick, can you explain to our listeners how NIL has personally impacted your life?
NIL has impacted me greatly. It's amazing to feel the partnerships and feeling like I've been cared for. NIL extremely helps not just me, but other athletes as well. And it's hard to talk about like the difference it makes because it's so big that you just can't explain it all in one podcast. So I would just say NIL is an extreme blessing for us to have, and we know that we're supported by the 12th man.
What are you most excited about for the 2025 season? And do you have any personal goals for yourself as you establish yourself as a contributor to this Aggie softball program?
Definitely just playing with my girls. I think it's kind of taken for granted. Everyone just has that one goal of like making it to World Series, which is a goal. Don't get me wrong. But I think my number one expectation is just, have fun with my girls one last time, especially the seniors that I don't get to play with another year. So it's kind of special and it's more personal this year. So playing with them will just be amazing. And I can't wait to play with them under the lights and going against great teams, that train so hard for this. And we want to make a really good impression on A&M, and we want to make a really good impression of where we stand in the softball world. So I'm very excited for that.
As a pitcher, do you have any like routines or things you have to do before every pitch or every game day to get you in like game mode and like get you centered?
I definitely have to pray before I play every single time I go out. But I think one thing that's pretty fun is like with the girls, it's usually while hitters and defense players are, warming up outside, pitchers will kind of just stay in the locker room and wait until like we get ready to all go out there. But we'll stay in the locker room and I'll blast the craziest, loudest music and kind of get our blood pumping and do a little dance in the locker room. That's always fun. Kind of just making fool of ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
There's no hitters to make fun of us or anything, so it's kind of just a pitcher thing, but that has to be done. Let some nerves out, have a good laugh, make some memories.
What's your encouragement to the 12th man to come out and support Aggie Softball this season? What's your pitch, per se, to them to say, come on out and support us?
That was a good pun. I would just say that softball is nothing without the 12th man. Every single Aggie should be out there supporting, and we love the support more than anything. It makes us love what we do at the end of the day. So I think every person that enjoys seeing pitches, runs, hits out the park should be there. It's going to be incredible. We've been practicing and working so freaking hard for this moment. Definitely going to be the run of the season, and it's going to be so exciting being there and seeing everyone show up. So y'all should definitely support our Aggie softball team.
And finally, to wrap up today, Grace, when your time at Texas A&M has come to a close, what are your future goals and what do you want to achieve in the next chapter beyond Texas A&M?
I would say definitely get a ring. I've already been looking up pictures, but next year will come faster than I think. Just graduating, having a good degree, hopefully be an All-American. That is one goal that I have that Coach Ford is putting in my head. So it's kind of hard to get out and have that self-doubt whenever she's constantly in my ear saying I'm going to be an All-American. So that would be great. But yeah, like I said, just showing little girls that they can be here too. They just got to love what they do and keep going at it for as long as they can and have no regrets and just make memories.
And finally, why are you proud to be a Fightin' Texas Aggie?
I'm proud to be a Fightin' Texas Aggie because this culture is like no one else, and the school is the most beautiful place that you could be with the best culture you have ever seen.
Grace Sparks on Answering the Call podcast. Grace, thank you so much for being here and joining us on the show.
Thank you for having me. I loved it.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of Answering the Call, the official podcast of the 12th Man Foundation. A special shout out to our incredible podcast producer, Megan Hoffman, and to 12th Man Productions for their generous use of the studio. We also extend our heartfelt gratitude to every donor and season ticket holder for always answering the call through loyal support of Texas A&M Athletics and our student athletes. We will be back soon with more content. Thanks, and gig 'em.